I'm upset. No disrespect, respectfully. But disrespectfully, it's disrespect. I'm upset. No disrespect, respectfully. But disrespectfully, it's disrespect. I'm upset. No disrespect, respectfully.
I don't know what's happening.
Disrespectfully, it's disrespect. Don't be disrespectful.
Do the intro.
Those vile, disgusting Spartans. Poor little girl, them. And I'ma tell them where I'm at. That vile, disgusting cesspool in Columbus. The other state, and of course, as always, I'm upset. I'm upset. No disrespect, respectfully. But disrespectfully, it's disrespect. Don't be disrespectful. Those vile, disgusting Spartans. Poor little girl, them. And I'ma tell them where I'm at. That vile, disgusting cesspool in Columbus. The other state, and of course, as always, I'm upset.
We good?
Good evening, good people. It is I, the Maize Madman. I don't know what just happened. This is my guy.
Other one.
Can you hear me?
Other. Yes. But the
Right
arm, your left arm.
I don't know what's happening.
Can you hear me?
Hold on. Let's try it again.
This is a professional show, everybody.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yo, but I can hear you.
We're live, bro.
You hear me?
Yes.
You hear
We
me?
can hear you. Hey,
I
everyone,
can't
put it in
hear
the
you.
chat if you can
Right,
hear
great.
Batman.
Well, I'm the Maize Madman. This is,
The maniac.
and that is.
Kinetic.
This is gonna be a horrible show if I can't hear you guys. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Listen.
Kinetic, take over while I try to fix me. Intro our guests, all of that.
All right. So I'm not Madman. I can't do like what he does, but we got a very special guest tonight. Some of y'all love him, some of y'all hate him. He's a friend of mine. You guys have seen him over on his channel, Darren Talks Ball, and we'll go ahead and welcome him to the stage. Darren, how you doing, man?
Yes. Hi. How is it going, Kinetic? I will say, first and foremost, there are a litany of reasons why I'm wearing sunglasses this evening, and they are all legal now in the state of Michigan. That's where we're at tonight. I hope everyone is enjoying their evening as much as I am.
Yeah,
Yes,
we're good,
sir.
man. So I know here recently you've been your channel's been a little hot lately.
I don't know if hot is the right word for
a little
it.
bit a little bit of heat. It's this comes from me working in the entertainment industry around around pro wrestlers. You get heat, you got people upset with you, a little bit of anger towards you within backstage.
Is this me turning heel here?
It seems like it. So why don't while we wait for Madman to get back, can you give the people in the chat that may not have caught your last videos or kind of what's going on with you? Can you kind of get people caught up?
What's going on with me? What's going on with me is I'm having a great day, my man. No, I just want to say so obviously you're mentioning the video I put out, I think a little over a week now. I think in a way and this is me being the ever so much in my own head type of person that I am, constantly overthinking things. I think in a way maybe I presented it in not the best way, honestly. I think if I could go back, I would maybe redo some parts. But really the overarching message of that video is things that I honestly find interesting about the Connor Stallions saga, and really what the Connor Stallions saga says about the online media coverage of sports generally, and where the kind of online media ecosphere is with sports coverage, and not just sports, most everything in our society and culture these days. Kind of where you have, very solidified, very, closely knit ecospheres, echo chambers where, people can run to and just kind of get whatever news that they want. And I think a lot of, the content creation world has turned into kind of feeding that animal, for lack of a better term, and how that doesn't always equate to like honest coverage of situations like the Connor Stallions saga, where you don't really, it's hard to find a truly unbiased source on the thing. It seems like most of the coverage has been biased in either one direction or another. Now, in the video, I presented two sides. I don't know how long many people watched it. Most people probably saw the opening half where I talked about some of the Michigan coverage and where Michigan people, in my opinion, and that's the thing, is this is my opinion. I'm just a guy who decided to get behind a mic and start a YouTube channel talking college football. I'm not claiming to be an expert on this stuff or anything like that. In fact, the only reason why I thought I might be qualified to talk about this stuff is I do happen to have a degree in psychology with a minor in sociology. So I know a little bit about how people work and how these things tend to work out. But I also closed the second half of the video out with some examples of Ohio State media and some dishonesty from that side too. And it's just interesting to me how we have these two competing narratives that have kind of been painted with a lot of dishonesty on either side. And I'm someone who likes to think that the truth lies somewhere in the middle on a lot of this stuff. So that was kind of the overarching theme. Now, I fully admitted in that video, and I will continue to say it, I do think that Connor Stallions cheated. I do think that he broke a rule. I do think that Michigan deserves some form of punishment for that, and I think they will get that. But I will also add that the stuff out there about like bowl bans coming down, Michigan essentially getting the modern day version of the death penalty, or like, some of the more extreme stuff that you tend to hear from Ohio State spaces is also pretty equally ridiculous. Is it the greatest cheating scandal in all of sports? No, I can think of at least 5 others that are way more damning. In fact, I'm a big Formula One fan outside of college football. There's a spicy Formula One cheating scandal I can think of just off the top of my head that was way worse than this, in which a team literally stole the designs of another team's car, which, if you know anything about that sport, that is high level cheating. That is straight up just like, we are ripping off everything you're doing. Like, that is not okay. So yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at on the whole thing. I think there's a lot of nuance to it. I think there's a lot of complexity to it. I think it's one of those rare stories in the world where there are really no good actors involved. And this all makes it really interesting to me. Again, as like a psychology major, sociology minor, I'm really interested in how people tick and what makes different groups of people tick. So that was really the whole point of the video. And that's the whole point of me talking about it the way that I have.
That's fair enough. Real quick, I just want to give a shout out to Blue Wolverine. He did gift 5 memberships to the Maize Madman channel. They went out to Mike Leeton, Stallions Express, Defending the Natty Tom, and Brian Schutz. You guys got gifted a channel membership from Blue Wolverine. Make sure you keep an eye out for members only content, including our first Monday of every month where we do the Michigan Avengers podcast with TJ Ronan, John Diadamo, and Johnny Olden Jr. Maniac, what do you think about what Darren just went over?
Yeah, man. So, I watched the video. By the way, I did subscribe to your channel. I wasn't one of those guys that, get in their feelings over it. And like you said, right? I like what you mentioned about, it was your opinion, right? And a lot of this is opinionated, right? A lot of us claim to know, we know, no, this is going to happen. No, we really don't know. It's kind of a messy situation, right? And my whole thing regarding this whole Connor Stallions is this, right? They say he cheated, right? What he did gave Michigan an unfair advantage, hence why they won games. Me, like I said, he did something wrong. I'm not one of those that sit here and say, no, he didn't do absolutely nothing. Come on. I'm a Michigan. I wear it on my sleeve, Michigan hat, every time I paddle on. But he did something. just my whole thing in this, Darren and Kinetic and Madman and everybody in the chat. If the proof comes out, definitive proof, then look at the video. This is how Michigan gained an unfair advantage, and this is why they won these games. That's what I'm looking at, because that's why he's being accused of. Now, all the in-betweens, who he sent, who was there, again, that it's a lot. And I'm not saying it's right why he did. I'm not saying it was right. I'm not saying it's a good thing to do. I want to see that he's being accused of something, so I need to see proof for that. If you're being accused of being a pedophile or murderer or whatever, they got to be proof of it, right? It can't be, oh, look, he was at a park, so he got to be, well, yes and no, right? That still doesn't prove the point. So that's just me, you know. And then there was another thing that people were talking about, and I believe in your video you mentioned, Darren, that you said Connor Stallions is not a hero in my eyes. And you know what? So I'm looking at it on both sides of the fence. Let's say if Michigan happens to get hit with some serious sanctions, is he a hero, guys? You can't call somebody a hero that's if Michigan gets hit heavy with sanctions. And when I'm talking about heavy, I'm talking about postseason bans. I'm talking about vacated wins, things of that sort. Now, if Michigan gets hit on the wrist, big fine, I'm not going to say in my eyes he's a hero. I just think he was somebody that tried to exploit a rule and got effed over. Somebody snitched him out. And you know, now Michigan is in this predicament.
This is the thing about my appearance here that I was really excited for, honestly, because I don't really feel like we're that far apart, and I think that there's a idea out there that we are really far apart on this, so that we're on completely different sides of this. I don't think that Michigan needed what Connor Stallions was doing to beat Ohio State for the past few years. I don't think they needed it to win the national championship, obviously, because he was fired halfway through the season, right before the Michigan State game. If you talk to anyone who's actually played the game, and when it comes to stuff like this, I like to rely on people that have actually played the game, people have coached in the game, people know more than talking heads like myself when it comes to the stuff, the real X's and O's guys. And anyone I talk to, or anyone that I've interacted with over this, even Garrison, who I see commenting right now, Ohio State fan, he says it probably had a 10 to 15% impact on the games. And it's hard to know, really, honestly, but when you see what Michigan's been able to do even after the fact that he was fired and still go on to win the national championship, to assume that, you know, all that success Michigan had was just based on what Connor was doing is just nonsensical to me. But to me personally, that makes it all the more infuriating, because he nearly drug the program down, or he may drag the program down, because we don't know exactly where. Anyone who assumes they know where this is going doesn't really know. Like you said, this is an unprecedented case, by the way. No one's ever really been investigated for breaking this rule, so we don't have necessarily precedent for this. People have compared it to the Tennessee case and other cases. It's nothing like those cases, in my opinion. So we don't know where it's going to go. It could be a slap on the wrist. It could be a hefty punishment. No one really knows, and anyone who thinks they know or assumes they know is just full of what. But there he is. But yeah, that's where it's infuriating for me, though, is he didn't even need to do it. And he even showed in his documentary that he was good at doing it, you know, the legal way or whatever. And by the way, I don't necessarily like the rule. The more that this has gone on, I've found out more about this rule and how it is kind of a stupid rule. You know, to me, it's still a rule that he broke clearly, and I do think that there's evidence of that out there. Obviously, there's all the Cash App or Venmo or whatever it is of that, and he even on his documentary again admitted that there were people going to games. He kind of slyly was like, "Oh yeah, my mom was going to games." It's like, we know, bro. We know your buddies, and you were getting people to go to games. Just come out and fully admit it. But that's what's infuriating to me, is in a way, with all this hero praise and worship that he's getting from certain segments of the Michigan fan base, not all of them, because it's a diverse group of thoughts and opinions out there, that kind of takes away from what the players did. And also the thing that really infuriates me too is guys like Mikey Sanders still, guys like Mike Barrett, guys like, JJ McCarthy, Blake Corum, they're going to have to answer questions about this for the rest of their fucking lives. Sorry, I don't know if cussing's okay on here. I assume so. I cuss like a sailor. I used to work in construction. It comes with the territory with me. Also gas station drugs. But
from inside or outside the gas station?
All around. Legal in Michigan. But that to me as a Michigan fan, that's what's frustrating though, is he didn't need to do it. He was clearly good enough to achieve some level of effect on the game without crossing the line and breaking the rule. And it hurts the view, the public view and perception of this program, but it also hurts the public view and perception of these players that were the real heroes in this story. If there's a hero in the story, it's guys like Mikey Sanders still and JJ McCarthy and Blake Corum and what they did. And I'd much rather talk about the players and the coaches on this team that had nothing to do with it than Connor and his vacuum business side hustles and his crazy, renting his house out so he could afford to do all this stuff or whatever he was doing. I get, I don't know. That's just where I'm at with it, I guess.
Real quick, shout out to Ryan Hull for gifting 5 memberships. Kenji Davis, Aaron Spencer, HG, John Walls, and DeReal MVP all got channel memberships now, thanks to Ryan Hull. So,
before we move on, where do you see that at?
So, okay, so something I do, and I've done this literally every show that I've been on, is I've got the StreamYard one where we see over here, and then on this screen right here, I've got like the view from what the viewers see, and it shows it in the chat there.
Got you. All right.
So, you're streaming with multiple screens over there, man. I'm the streamer of the proletariat over here.
By the way, trying to
stream like a 1999 Dell monitor. I'm on.
That's what I'm saying. Trying to stream both of those might crash my computer again. So,
but
I'm barely hanging on here.
I've said my stance on this, so the viewers have all seen it. So I'll try to keep it sort of summarized, but I don't think I've actually sat down and given Darren my response or my opinion on it. So my thing with it is this: was a rule broken? Probably, but you can't even say definitively, because if you read the rule itself, how it's written, it's very vague and it can be interpreted multiple ways. The rule itself, as you touched on, is a rule that was put in the 90s to stop smaller schools being at a disadvantage because they couldn't afford a $15,000 camera to send staffers across the country to these games when the bigger schools could, and that was an advantage. So they put that rule in there. Not that long ago, the NCAA actually came out and said they needed to get rid of that rule because it no longer applied. Okay, because travel's easier, the cost of traveling is a lot cheaper. Everybody's got a camera that's 10 times better than those now in their pocket. It's not a needed rule. It's a financial rule. It's not a competitive rule. It is not so there's no cheating involved by breaking that rule. It's a financial rule that has nothing to do with on the field. The NCAA themselves have come out and said, as have many other former players, current coaches, everyone, that even if you know the other team's signals, it's very little to no competitive advantage. And there's other legal ways that teams are actively using that are way more effective than somebody's iPhone footage from across the field.
Do we know for sure that that's more effective? Like, who are we to say?
Well, no. What I'm saying and what's more effective is, what if you're a coach and you want the best advantage you can? If you're offered iPhone footage from across the field in row 37, or on every Friday night you get on a conference, you have a staffer that gets on a conference call with staffers from all the other teams in your conference and trade the signals and stuff that they got on the field during the game with opponents that you play later in the season. Which one gives you the better the better advantage?
I feel like this is a little intellectually dishonest, just a tad here. And I want to point out, iPhone footage now from damn near anywhere in the stadium is pretty good.
Yeah, but I still don't think it's going to give you a better advantage than somebody that was on the field, that their job is to watch their signals, decipher them, and then they get on a phone call and give it to your team. I'm taking that every time over the iPhone footage. Okay.
Sure. However, with the iPhone footage, you can do the job of the person that you're calling, right? Who's on the field at that time against your whoever that opponent is. And maybe, what if they're wrong? By the way, right? And instead you have the footage that you have gotten, ill-gotten or not, and you have compiled the data that you have and your own metrics or however you decipher these signs. I trust me. Now here we go. I trust me more than I trust the guy from Rutgers.
But if you're the coach, you're getting it from your staffer, or you're getting it from another guy that gave it to your staffer. It's still coming to you from somebody else.
So a couple points here, if I can just interject really quickly, because I get what you're saying, and I hear this often, and I at times I've kind of bought into and subscribed to this logic as well. But namely, first of all, I don't know if the language of the rule is that vague, because it, to me, I haven't read it in a while, but it pretty clearly states you're not allowed to advance scout. Well, now, the technicality that I know a lot of people mention is, well, he wasn't sending people that were members of the program or whatever to advance scout. But to me, if you're paying somebody to go to a game for somebody who works for Michigan football, they then kind of become agents of the Michigan football program.
Well, so that's the point of contention
inside. But if you don't mind me getting to my next point real quick,
sure.
I feel like we're getting a bit in the weeds on all this stuff too, where we're talking about, this program did it this way and these other programs do it that way too. And I see this as kind of like a semi bad faith argument where we start talking about like other examples of other programs running up to the line or maybe even potentially crossing the line. The thing is, if 10 people rob a bank and only one person gets caught, in the process of doing it, that one person still did something wrong. Those other programs, if they're doing stuff that actually also breaks the rules somehow or also plays in the gray areas, that's a shame on them too. And the whole, I get the history of the rule, and you can argue whether the spirit of the rule is fair or not, but it's still a rule. And it sounds like, from everything we've heard, Connor was kind of the only guy that was really willing to go across that line. And that's why he got ratted on. So if you're the only one in a sport where you have an agreed upon set of rules and kind of a social contract between all the teams involved that we're going to play this way and we're going to play by these rules, and you're the one person kind of breaking a rule, even if it seems like a minimalistic, a small, less important rule, you're still gaining some advantage from that. And by means of that, you're cheating to me. And that's just the facts that I rely on. Like I said, I don't want to get in the weeds too much about what other teams are doing, because we're talking about the case of what Connor Stallions did.
That was just in response to what Madman brought up. But the point that I'm trying to make is that with what Connor was doing, his job was to decipher signals, and every coaching staff, every staffer, every coach on the staff in NFL, college, the Canadian Football League, doesn't matter, arena football, their job is to find the way to maximize the best possible advantage within the rule set of the game. And so they're going to look at rules. You see this literally in every level of the sport, and in every level of any sport. They're going to look at the rules. They're going to try to find gray areas. They're going to try to find loopholes. They're going to try to find ways to work within the rules, but push the boundaries in a way that doesn't break the rules.
Yeah.
If you look at the wording of the rule, I can see where Connor could look at that and think, well, if I pay for somebody that I know personally, a friend, family member, whatever, to go to a game, they're not a staffer, they're not employed by the University of Michigan, they're not getting anything paid for by the university directly, and they go to the game and then they get footage and send it to me, then, since sign stealing is not illegal to begin with, and they're not a staffer, that's a way around it. That's a loophole. I can see where, if he read it like that and interpreted it like that he didn't think he was breaking the rule. Now, the NCAA, their point of contention is, Well, if you're getting paid by the university and you're using that money you're getting paid to send them there and covering their expenses, the ticket costs, food, travel, whatever, that counts as sending a staffer. That's the point of contention that's going to go to court. But as of right now, there is no definitive fact that he broke that rule. It's going to come down to how the courts interpret it. So as of right now, he has not even broken a rule. It's an alleged.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. It's allegedly broke the rule right now. And even if he did break the rule, it's still not a cheating rule. It still provides, by the NCAA's own words, little to no competitive advantage. On top of that, there's no whatever he did, whatever he got from that, didn't contribute to us winning any games. Like,
okay, we have to.
I'm sorry.
All right, look, this has been pretty. All right, I don't know how else to say this.
Y'all invited a former debate bro onto your pod. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, and that's the thing. I'm not going to out debate you. You're better at it than me. I'm not.
I'm not that great at it.
But I want to real quick, Maniac. I want to point out something. If what he because Kinetic, you have me taking this position quite often, right? Where I
bring me on here for?
Devil's advocate to things that you say, and
I do the same for you just to get the conversation going.
Absolutely, yeah. And this is how you carry on a healthy conversation. That said, if Michigan gained zero competitive advantage because of the things that Connor Stallions and other staffers were doing, or whoever else he sent.
To be clear, little to no advantage is what I was quoting the NCAA as saying.
Okay. But you have to think for 1 second. He clearly did this with the intent that it would have some advantage. Otherwise,
but that's his job.
And he didn't know at the time. It may have given Michigan a massive advantage. So I'm sorry, but we can't go like retroactively, back and be like, well, it didn't actually provide much advantage. If I'm going to shoehorn as many Magic the Gathering into this thing as I can because I love it.
Well, let me clarify real quick. Maybe
game of Magic the Gathering and like say I draw an extra card on a turn, I sneak in an extra card draw, and then I still end up like losing the game. I can't be like, well, I tried to cheat, but ultimately it didn't really matter that much because I still lost.
Hold on a second. Let me first clarify. I probably worded that poorly. What I meant was we didn't win any games because of what he gave us. Okay, so even if it gave a very small advantage, which is his job to find ways of getting advantage for the team, we did not win any games because of what he gave us. Everyone points to those games where they look like the defense was reacting to the formations. Yes, because Mikey Sainristil and guys like Mikey Sainristil, JJ McCarthy, they were savants for watching film and figuring out tendencies of individual players and watching them and then calling it out to the teams. That's been well documented to anybody that cares to look. To your Magic the Gathering reference, though, that's a horrible analogy because there is not a single rule in Magic the Gathering that is that vaguely written. You and I both know that as somebody who played competitive tournament Magic for a very long time. There's not a rule.
No, you cannot draw an extra card on a turn unless you have a card that's
no. But those rules are very clearly stated.
That was my analogy, and we both know the rule.
Right.
Hard and fast. Card advantage is a big thing. Card advantage is a massive.
But there's no rule that could be vaguely interpreted that in multiple ways.
Yeah. So look. Right when this whole Connor Stallions thing dropped, you have many former players. Not talking about guys like us doing podcasts, former players who play college football on a high level, went on to play on the NFL, had no Michigan ties, didn't play for Michigan, said, listen, this is regular stuff. And for the fans that are saying, well, even let's say he gave him a 3%. Guys, how many games? Every single football game, high school, college, and NFL. Once a team in a game, at least 4 or 5 times, you're going to know what this team is about to do. Run! So is that cheating? Like, you see, this is why it's a very complex situation when people say, well, because people, that watch regular film knows, listen, that's a passing formation, right? Michigan ran it 32 straight times against Penn State.
Yeah.
I guess Michigan cheated. Michigan, I guess Michigan cheated because they kept telling Penn State what they was gonna do. This is what I'm saying. Again, the in-betweens is why, I know a lot of people is fine.
Yeah.
Did he do this? Why did it? My thing is, like I said in the beginning, is I need to see proof. I need to see proof that they say, look, he did this. He did this. I need that proof to say, look, this is how they did it. And then I get it, Darren. You was like, well, if you get caught at for speeding, everyone else is doing it. You're right. You can't say that. But there's no integrity in college football. There's never been and there's never will. Not saying it's right. I'm not sitting here and say, well, then cheat. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if you think what Michigan did was bad, it's not. And now the whole Tennessee thing, right? If anyone knows, pre-NIL, what was the biggest thing you could get hit with? Pain. Pain in athlete was the worst penalty. So Tennessee, not only they pay players, they pay their families, right? I'm just saying, I'm not comparing the two. I'm just saying on what they did. And this is when the NCAA was the NCAA, right? And then you had dudes what Peter Warwick. I don't know how old you guys are, but he missed half of the season for taking free clothes. Not even money, free clothes, right? Mm-hmm. Now, Connor did to me, look, he didn't hurt nobody. He didn't sexually assault it. He wasn't on Epstein's list, Epstein Island. He wasn't doing nothing crazy.
That we
know of. So far.
The list still isn't out there.
Far. Right. The bottom line is this. It was football. This was all football related. He tried to do it in the way that he got caught. I'm not sitting here saying Connor didn't do nothing. We have to see when the dust settles what the answer is going to be. And once that settles, we could come back here and talk about it.
I'm all for us getting fined or getting punished for breaking the financial rule. I'm so over this cheating. Come on now. It's not a cheating rule. It was not a cheating offense.
Before we move on from this topic, we have a guest who would like to be heard. The one, the only TJ Ronan has.
This is the battle of James. The battle of the sunglasses.
The battle of sunglasses.
It's bright out. It's bright out. Although unfortunately, I don't have the cool blue shades. I got the red shades. But
were you visiting the drugstore outside the gas station as well,
Jesus.
TJ?
Listen, we had moves to make. The homie at the gas station, he puts in good work. So we deal with it. But hey, it's good to be on the show, Maize man. It's good to be on the show with the rest of you guys. Absolutely. I mean, I've heard there's some interesting topics being discussed and some interesting perspectives. I'm just here to be a part of the conversation.
Yeah. So as you know, like last week I was on your show, and I gave my perspective on the entire sign stealing Connor Stallions thing and why I thought Connor Stallions wasn't necessarily a hero. Darren has shared, his thoughts as well. And we, the chat is sharing their thoughts. I feel like some of the chat is on our side this week than they were last week. We're still the heavy underdogs, by the way.
Madman, if I may.
Yeah.
You key it up with the announcement. Maniac, being the boxing expert, will be the referee. I want to hear both sides like a debate with TJ and Darren.
Right.
Yeah, we do that.
Yeah. So not to get monotonous, Darren, these are the main points. Darren doesn't think Connor Stallions is a hero for Michigan football. Darren also thinks that cheating is cheating, no matter how you cheated, when you cheated, if whatever. And TJ, quite the opposite, thinks Connor Stallions is a hero. Thinks Connor Stallions is a legend. Let me say that, a legend.
I do think legend.
Right. And his thoughts on whether or not Michigan cheated or not are a little vague. I don't necessarily remember that conversation, but that's the premise there.
All right. Do y'all want to do it like conversation style, or you want me to set a timer and give you each, so many minutes to make your?
I think we should go like 45 seconds apiece or whatever.
However you want to run.
Just make their points. That one
right.
is like listen. Just let them. It's like a rap battle. One goes, and after that, the other goes. That's
Oh
it.
Jesus, we're gonna rap battle.
All right. So who's Kendrick and who's Drake?
I don't know. Whichever one of us sucks more is Drake, I guess.
Yeah. All right. So, shit. All right. So, in my opinion, I look at Connor Stallions. I do think he's a legend. I think it's lore. I think it's like, it's something that, let's be honest, it's something that's written in a movie. The way this broke down, like it's to me, and like, please understand, like my position on most things is, I like to have what is fun, and I don't take things as serious as a lot of people take things. Like some people are very like, and this is not a shot at Darren, but like some people are like, there's rules and they can't be broken. Well, my position is this, and I know Darren disagrees with this. I'm playing a game and everybody's cheating. Everybody's cheating and everybody's pushing their limits. And just because Michigan decided, and I don't think Jim Harbaugh was in the know on this either. But just because there was an individual within Michigan who decided to push the limits of gray areas, and I would agree with Kinetic on this point, I'm not so sure he thought what he was doing was illegal. I think he thought he found a loophole in the book. I don't think that because of this, Michigan should be taken to the field and handled with, right? I think there should be a punishment to some extent. I've expressed what I think that punishment is. I think it's going to be the largest fine in college football history. I think Sherrone Moore will get suspended. I do think you'll get the double offender situation with Sherrone Moore because he was suspended for the cheeseburger situation on some bullshit. I know Garrison disagrees with that. And I think we will lose some scholarships, but there's 105 scholarships now, so it's not as much of a penalty as it used to be. And then, I think it'll be something along those lines. I do think Michigan's going to fight it because that's another discussion. We can go down that road a different time. But at the end of the day, I think Connor is a legend because he's a diehard Michigan fan. He essentially what Connor Stallions is he's every single one of us, but he was willing to go 10 times harder. 10 times harder, bro. And I respect that. I respect the Kobe Bryant mentality of outworking every single one of your competitors. And I'm not going to stand here and say I do that. Like, I'm not going to say I live that. I mean, I try to apply it in many areas, but like, I'm not sleeping in a car to save an hour out of my day. You know what I mean? Like Connor Stallions would. So I respect that. That has my respect. And I just think Connor Stallions is a good dude who pushed the limits, in my opinion.
You can outwork people, and that's really literally, I honestly like where you went with that because that's literally what this program did for years with their strength and conditioning program, the players' dedication to watching film, like Kinetic brought up a few minutes ago. Jim Harbaugh overhauling his staff and the dedication of guys like Sherrone Moore and Jesse Minter and all of them to equip these kids with some of the best schemes in college football. That Jesse Minter defensive scheme was just chef's kiss. I mean, that was just brilliant stuff. Shut down some of the best offenses in college football. But I think you can outwork people without breaking rules. And if if you want to accept this is my only problem with what you're saying, really. Because you're obviously entitled to your opinion and we can agree to disagree and all that stuff. But if you're going to accept the fact that college football is just a dirty sport, everyone's pushing the boundaries, everyone's breaking rules, and you're just going to do it yourself, therefore, we have to admit, and this is my thing, and I want to get into another point here in a minute. We have to admit as Michigan fans that the whole idea that Michigan is above board, that they don't play the dirty games, that they don't break the rules, that, Michigan is better than everybody else in that department. We have to admit as fans that that's no longer true. And that is part of my problem with all this is that is the Michigan program that I grew up with. And that was the whole premise of the Michigan man. That's the reason why I brought it up in my video that I made, is that was part of what made me fall in love with Michigan football. was that you do things right and you are somebody of integrity. And when you do screw things up, you admit, hey, I fucked up. I fucked up and I should have to pay the consequences for that. And maybe I am somebody who takes these things seriously, but sports do also affect life. I have a little guy. I have a 2.5-year-old it's actually really cute. Anytime he sees Michigan on TV, he'll start saying "Go Blue" and "Go Michigan" and "Touchdown Michigan" and all that stuff. It's adorable. My mom got him a little Michigan hat for Christmas. It's great. I'm taking him to the spring game this spring. But my thing that I also keep coming back to is how much of the way that I'm portraying this whole story on my channel right now going to send a message to him as a young man. Because I don't want to have to sit and explain to him someday that when all this stuff went down, I defended somebody who broke the rules and cheated and that Michigan got caught and had to pay for it. And that's my thing. I want to raise my kid to respect the game and respect the rules and play within the rules and outwork everybody within the rules and be competitive and win as much as possible. You know, I want him to get into sports. I want him to have that experience, but I don't want him to be somebody who thinks that breaking rules is okay, even if other people are doing it, because, you know, principles and integrity matter. They do to me.
Are you into stoicism?
I've vaguely heard about it, but I'm a faux intellectual, so no.
Okay, I feel like you would be. I like stoicism. I'm not anti-stoicism at all. I think there's a lot of value. Essentially, all right. So Garrison, or not Garrison, Darren. I saw Garrison's comment. Darren, look, I agree with you in a vacuum of a game where everyone is playing fair. I agree with you that the idea of everyone playing by the rules and everything being on an even playing field, you're right. But I've accepted the reality that it's just not. And I'll give you an example that's a little outside of football. Okay, in the corporate world or in the capital, in the capital, and I know your stance on some of the, like I don't fully know your stance, Darren, but I know you are a challenger in these areas. But like in capital,
they have read Das Kapital.
Yeah, so in capitalism, you have everybody pushing the rules and the limits, and you got tax, you got accountants and figuring out every tax loophole in the world. You know, you got offshore banking, you got everything, right? It's a dirty game. It's a dirty ass game. And it's really one of those, it's just like college football. As long as you don't get caught, you're good. All right. And then they do audits and they can catch your ass, right? That's kind of how that goes. But like at the end of the day, no one's playing clean. We live in a country, and Darren, you're right. I wish we could raise every kid exactly how you just said it. But there does come a point where that kid graduates at 18 or gets out of college at 22, 23, and the real world's going to hit them. And they're going to be like, oh, it's a dirty world. People lie, people steal, people cheat. And it's just what it is. So like, I more or less, I believe in the vision you're presenting, Darren. I wish that was it, but like, I just know it's not it. I know everyone's pushing limits in college football. And because they are, I've accepted, well, you got to play the game too. And then here's another thing too, like to your point, you said, well, Michigan, growing up, we had this, this vision that Michigan did it the right way. Michigan men worked harder. We didn't have to cut corners to have success. But like, I'll be real with you, and this is something I've talked about with Garrison. The one thing that Ohio State has that I will publicly say that I wish Michigan had more of, but I do think Michigan's getting there, is the desire to win at all costs. And Ohio State has that. And you see that whenever they take an L, they always try and go a little bit harder, spend a little bit more money. They'll go get the Texas A&M athletic director because it's just not good enough. I respect that. I respect their hunger to win. And Michigan sometimes falls into a position of complacency. And I've always wanted them to spend, everyone knows Ohio State's been paying for players for a long ass time. I've always wanted Ohio State or Michigan to play that game. Now they are. And it's exciting to see Michigan start to compete with the big boys. And of course, now it's legal thanks to the Tennessee lawsuit. But at the same time, the reality is it's just the world is fucking harsh, bro. And it's cruel and it ain't what we want it to be. So I just accept it. And I just play by the rules that are bendable, I suppose.
If I could, real quick, it seems like one of the biggest, not point of contention isn't the right word here, but is that TJ believes, and I obviously I agree here, that we don't believe that he intentionally broke the rule. He was trying to operate with integrity within the rules, pushing the boundaries with the loophole that he thought he found in the rules, but he wasn't going into it saying, and this is where I think the difference is with Darren and with Garrison and them, is that you guys seem to think that he saw the rule and said, well, I can get away with breaking it, so I'm going to do it anyway. And I think that's a big divide here on opinion.
But Kinetic, hold on.
Really,
but Kinetic, real quick. But how do we know that? You're assuming, right? You just assuming he read it and he said, we don't know. We don't know, Kinetic. I'm just saying,
an assumption,
again,
but it's also it's an educated assumption based on what I've seen from him.
But again,
and what I've seen from the people that are around
somebody. Him. We don't know how he interpreted that rule. We don't. We just assuming whether it's an educated one or not. It's right. You don't have proof.
But it's an assumption either way.
Okay, let's do this. Let's do this, guys.
It's an assumption either way. So I mean, when you see him in the documentary, when you see him in interviews, when you see people that are close to him, like Isaiah Hole, talking about the kind of guy he is, then you can make assumptions based on that. But regardless of which side of that you're on, it's still an assumption.
Yeah, but you can't say, because you're saying he read it the way he read it, like you don't know. Is all I'm saying.
I mean, this is what people like Isaiah Hole, who is very close to him, have said.
We're gonna give last word on this particular topic to Darren and to TJ, and then we got to move on.
Okay, to Kinetic's point, regardless of intention, he broke the rule, and I think that's the thing we got to talk about here. There's been a lot of analogies to like the court of law and legality stuff, and I get that, but intention matters very little when it comes to stuff like that. For instance, I got pulled over a few weeks ago doing like 80 in a 55 accidentally. I got out to pass somebody, got going, didn't realize how fast I got going. There's a cop a mile down the road and they pulled me over. I was like, oh shit, you're right, I was doing 80. I didn't get a ticket for it. I still got a warning for it though. Like I still did it. So I think the whole thing with like, did he mean to do it? Did he not? To me, it's intention matters very little. It's whether you cross the line or not, because it can. I'm not saying it did. I'm not saying I know if it did or not. And again, there's a lot on this stuff that I don't know that much about, and I like to appeal to the experts on. But it can give you a competitive advantage. And now to TJ's main point that he just made.
Well, if I could just real quick to that point, it's not a rebuttal. It's just yes. Like whether you intended to or not, you still broke the rule, and if it's determined that the rule was broken and we get fined or punished for a financial infraction, that's fine. I would accept that. But when we're talking about how the fan base views him, I think intent matters a lot. And if the fan base sees that he or doesn't believe he intended to make us look bad, that he didn't intend to break a rule and all of that, then that could be why he's viewed positively by some of the fan base.
Okay, that's fair. In the interest of brevity, I'm going to move over to my rebuttal on TJ's point, which is that you made a great analogy with capitalism and all that, and how the way the world really works. My only rebuttal to that is the only reason why capitalism is a dominant economic force in the world right now is because we've decided to make it that way. The world is how we make it. Like it doesn't have to continue to be that way. One, and two. Is it worth it to gain all of the things that you can gain under capitalism in the corporate world and in the world of sports if you have to sacrifice all of your morals, principles, and integrity in order to get it? That's my whole overarching point on all of this stuff. This is like there's a meme out there that is like, anarchist is oddly very interested in sticking to the rules in D&D game. Ha! I made a D&D reference. There you go.
There you go, West Quad.
Whoever threatened to leave the show because we made D&D references.
That was West Quad. He's actually a former player.
I'm the one that's like oddly concerned about the rules here, but I do think that these things matter because it's a part of what makes our culture regarding sports. And even if nobody else is following certain things, and I'm not saying it's not okay to push like gray areas and look for advantages. Everybody should, look for that and find ways to push up and be competitive. I'm not saying competition is a bad thing. It's a great thing. But I do think that, in a lot of ways, rules matter and they should be upheld. That's all.
TJ, last word.
All right, there's a lot to unpack. So first of all, philosophically speaking, Darren, you bring up an excellent topic that should be discussed at a greater level, and that's, should we sacrifice our morals and all that to reap the benefits of playing a dirty game or pushing limits and breaking rules? The issue with that, Darren, is no. Like, look, at the end of the day, you're right with that, but at the end of the day, everyone's gonna do it though. Like, so we could be the ones, Darren, who don't, and then we stop winning national titles, Big Ten championships. We go through a really bad time. The program loses money. There's a disinterest in the football program. Like, the one thing that is true, and it is, regardless of whatever system's in place, if you do not evolve with the market, you will die. You will decline. You have to stay pace with the market and your competition, or you'll fall off. And that's, so my position is, and I've kind of said it, is like, look, everyone's playing dirty to an extent. I have no issue with Michigan trying to find their edge. Now, to the point earlier, though, about Connor Stallions, did he know, didn't he know? Listen, do I think Connor Stallions thought he found a gray hole by sending friends and family to these games to scout? Yes, I do. But but here's where going on the sidelines, he fucking knew he broke the rules. Okay, like, that's just, we know that. So him being on the sidelines and that game, now, even though he was there for Central Michigan and not Michigan,
I think he was there to help them, not us.
Yeah, he was. That's known.
But by the way, real quick, just a footnote here, because I got to say this to Kinetic, just because I love jabbing Kinetic here. That right there speaks to his character without somebody else speaking to it, right? He just showed us kind of who he is. If he knew that was a rule that he broke, and then he did it anyway, no matter who he did it for. Okay, go ahead, TJ.
I think the reality is this. I think if people knew what was really going on in government, military, sports, people would be sick to their stomach, man. I think it's a dirty ass world, and
it is.
You know, like let's talk about something else. I mean, it's not off topic, but it's on topic, but off topic.
Can I have just
how much PED is being used in college football right now?
Probably a lot. Can I rebut just one thing on that? Because you talk about like the world of, college football being a dirty sport and everyone else is doing dirty things. Not in this particular case, though. In this particular case, from what we've seen and from what we know, and now that may change. I'm not saying there's not other programs out there doing the same exact thing that Connor Stallions did. There may be. But in this particular instance, Connor Stallions was the only person sending people out to advance scout that we know so far. So if you want to paint that analogy, it's very presumptive in that thinking that other teams are doing the same exact thing. They may be doing different things that also get into the gray area and push the boundaries, but they're not crossing the boundaries from what we've seen. And when teams do cross the boundaries, they also get caught and get punished, such as or the NCAA tries to punish them in case of, the case of Tennessee and others. This is my one little rebuttal to that.
So this is where we also need to look at, why is what Rutgers, Ohio State, and Illinois did, why is that not considered advanced scouting? Because they're literally on the sideline. They're literally collecting data on an Excel sheet, and they're passing it to each other's sign break, code breakers. Like that is, like, I'll tell you right now, like the coach who's taking these signs down is far better than Connor Stallions' mom with a freaking iPhone, dude. You know what I mean? Like they are versed, man. And like, so like, I think that's amazing to me that's completely ignored. And that's what I mean. Like, and
that's not ignored. We were talking about it before you get on here, TJ.
What up?
We were talking about exactly that.
Yeah, I just find
we got to stop downplaying these cameras too. I have a Samsung. I could literally see a moon cricket on the moon. So.
There's crickets on the moon.
No,
I can see crickets dancing on the moon.
Right.
I do feel confident that other people were doing this. I don't think Connor's the only one who was doing this. But
again, that's presumptive.
He's the only one who was caught. But he wouldn't have been caught if someone didn't fucking snitch, bro. Like, that's another thing too. Like, this NCAA never would have found this, just like they don't find most things. The only reason why this even came out is because Matt Dudek, Alex Ude, and then apparently there's a player who I won't name, although it was discussed on our show, also was given information to the NCAA through Ohio State.
And maybe this is just me, but I honestly think that if it was because the NCAA wanted any chance or any way they could to get Jim Harbaugh out of college football and punish Michigan for standing behind him, I don't think if this happened, if Connor Stallions was on Clemson or on North Texas or whatever, I don't think that the NCAA cares.
Okay. Doesn't that also make what Connor did that much more stupid because he knew that the NCAA was coming after the program?
If you go in with the premise that he knew he was breaking a rule, yes, but if you go in with the premise
he had to have known that he was at least pushing the gray area and the boundaries.
But pushing in the gray area and the boundaries doesn't mean you're breaking the rules.
This is the thing, and this is the whole misnomer in like our society about like intelligence. Just because somebody's like really good at one thing doesn't make them like super smart and able 100%. To figure everything in life out. He can be really good at decoding signs. He might be an idiot when it comes to everything else in the field. That seems to be the case.
I'm a pretty good example of this.
Venmo was public. That was dumb.
And leaving his Venmo or whatever public,
that was and he's a military intelligence officer. What the hell?
Yeah.
Which also speaks to Connor Stallions. But I'm not gonna go there. All right, listen. Gentlemen, you both did an excellent job. I agree with a lot of the points both of you made. The fact of the matter is that there are people that are just going to be torn on this particular subject. The one thing that we all can appreciate and rejoice in is that Michigan won the 2023 national championship. Michigan has smacked Ohio State around for 4 straight years, including a year where they had a Make-A-Wish quarterback.
Wait, Madman, are you saying that Ohio State is soft?
I'm saying it. I'm saying it.
Is that what you're saying? Are we saying they're soft?
Are we calling anyone? It's almost.
I said you soft. So what? What you gonna do? What? Don't no man call me soft. I hate that. All right. Wait, let me slow you down, cause I'm a man. I called you soft. First of all, now I don't like you swelling all up and all. What's all this swell up shit? What's that about? What you taking in all this air for, Claude? What you feeling, huh? What's on your mind, huh? What, you gonna put your chin up? Huh? That means something to me? Cause I said soft? Cause I said soft, so what? I said I spell it. S-O-F capital T. Soft. Huh? How you like that? What you gonna do, Claude?
Always a good time to be able to play the soft edit for you guys.
Did we see the rumors, by the way, about who their new DC might be?
Oh, I've seen some things. What have you seen?
Detroit Lions head coach.
Yeah, I saw Matt Patricia.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. That'd be hilarious.
That would be. Yeah. I tweeted it out a few minutes ago.
They have no clue what they're doing.
Oh, please. That dude has failed everywhere he's going.
Garrison was defending it, so.
I
know Garrison was defending it.
Scheme is
that'd give us the most fuel.
His defensive scheme is so dated.
Dude, he would get killed in college.
And his defensive scheme is much in line with like the old Saban stuff, which we just beat last 2 years ago now. Like,
absolutely.
So bring it.
What happened to the Pitt guy? I thought they hired Pitt's DC.
I think he was being talked to.
That was a rumor too.
I think they were also trying to talk to a staffer, defensive staffer on the Eagles. But
I mean,
nobody wants to go there.
That would be a decent get from the Eagles.
That would be a very good get.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Up next, we got the top 5 Michigan contributors in 2025. We got a bit of homework. TJ, if you want to stick around, give your top 5 as well. I don't know what you got.
We also should have another. We should have another debate though.
What we debate next?
I'm here for it.
We should be debating Queen perspective on Queen Jolene.
Oh my God!
Oh,
I mean, hey, this has been a thing, so why not? Why not have it? And then
we maybe make this another. I do have to get going here and just.
I heard TJ. I heard you slid in her DMs, man. What's up with that?
all right. We'll do it on another show because we got limited time for Darren. So,
right. Oh shit, we're limited.
Or you could have me on your show sometime, TJ. Though I've heard you're not inviting me on anymore.
I never said I was.
Bro, he doesn't even invite me on anymore either.
Like tweeting and in my comments are like, TJ, it's great that TJ doesn't invite you on anymore. I'm like, okay, I guess that's great. Okay, man. Yeah, like damn, all right.
The issue is every time our show was supposed to be is a holiday.
Yeah, and I couldn't do it this past month. I know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right, fair enough. We'll save it for the call-in.
Get Darren on TJ's show. That's a hashtag. Run with it. All right. So, gentlemen, I wanted to do a top 5 who you thought would be Michigan's top 5 contributors in the 2025 season. Let's have some fun in the chat. You guys do yours as well. This is a combination of offense and defense. It doesn't matter.
Ooh, offense and defense. Okay.
Yeah. And who you think will be, again, the top 5 contributors for Michigan. I was going to do top 5 returning contributors, but I feel like with people like Bryce Underwood,
Justice Haynes.
It just would exactly Justice
All right,
Haynes.
so
It
how are we
wouldn't
doing
be
this? Are we doing each
fair.
person go through all five? Or are we doing each person says their fifth?
We're
each
gonna
person
actually
says their
do
fourth?
this one at a time. We're gonna go number 5. If you want me to kick it off, I can do that.
Go ahead.
Sure, show you
right.
you drive it, bro.
All right, number 5 for me and top contributors. By the way, chat, who's your number 5 contributor? I'm going with, and this might be shocking because he might get a bigger role, but Jordan Marshall. He'll be a sophomore running back next year. Really his first time getting extended carries. I think he'll be the number 5 contributor for Michigan next year. Maniac, what say you? Who's number 5?
So, man, look, one of the most underrated position in all of football, but arguably one of the most important. I'm going with Doc Zavada, number 5.
Ooh, that's
my
sneaky
kicker.
good.
That's good.
And I
You
didn't
gotta listen.
put on my top 5. That's
if
crazy
it wasn't
to me.
if it wasn't, he's going to be a key contributor to this team next season. He was arguably the MVP of this team offensively, if it wasn't for Mullins. So I'm having Doc Zavada come back, who will be the number 1 kicker coming into the season, right? He got dubbed for the Lou Garza Award?
Rosa.
Lou Groza Award. And if he could replicate what he did last season, man, oh man, it's going to be crazy. But he's my number 5.
No doubt. Kinetic, you're next. Number 5.
So I was back and forth over this one and Darth Zavada. So since Maniac took Zavada, I'm going to go the other way here. I'm going to go with returning defensive end Derek Moore.
Yeah,
Derek Moore.
I think that he's been ready for his breakout season. He kind of got overshadowed a bit with Josiah Stewart just going off this year.
Mm-hmm.
He's returning. He's the most experienced guy on the line. He's really, really good at setting the edge and funneling the runner into the other guys. Now I want to see him take that next step and step up into that role. I think he can be a leader on the line. I think he can be a leader not just in the stat room, but also on the stat sheet, but in the locker room as well.
Jay Marion says number 5 TJ Guy. Just a tidbit on Derek Moore. PFF, according to some of those advanced metrics for pass rushing, he was like right there. It's just that Josiah Stewart was getting to the quarterback a little faster. That's basically it. TJ, you're next. Number 5.
I'm gonna go with Jay Sean Barham.
Ooh, another good one.
I thought he was
At
really
just
coming
5?
out towards the end of the year.
Okay.
Yeah. At 5.
Okay.
Now I'll tell you what, Zavada's a steal though. I'm not gonna do that.
That's a very good one, right? I'm jealous of
Zavada
that.
was a good one.
Yeah, it's very good. All right. Our guest of the night, my guy, your guy, Darren. Number 5 for you.
I feel like I got an interesting one. I got Samaj Morgan.
I was going back and forth over putting him in.
There were a few plays back in the national championship run. Namely, I think it was against Nebraska. JJ threw up a just straight like big box fade up for him against a corner that was taller than him. And he came down with the ball like Roy Roundtree style. I was like, this guy is not just a little gadget player. He can run some routes and he can get the ball. And what they ended up doing with him last season was disappointing because they pretty much took a guy who, during the national championship run, in the game against Alabama, they had him running slants. They worked him out on little like mesh routes and things, crossing, crossers, things like that. He's fast, he's twitchy, he can do a lot after the catch. And then seeing like Kirk Campbell just basically turn him into like a gadget player where they're just like, oh yeah, we'll just throw you like a few screens here and there, was very disappointing. I think Chip Lindsey knows what he has in Samaj, knows that he has a quote unquote dog. I don't use that term a lot. It's not really my, but he is a dog. He's a dogged player. And I think in Chip Lindsey's system, which is really a system that he kind of bases whatever he does around the players that he has, he'll find ways to get Samaj the ball. And obviously in a wide receiver room that needs some guys to take a leap forward, he's going to be a junior. He's going to be a more experienced guy. I think you watch out for Samaj and what he can do out of the slot and stuff next year.
I agree with you. I think he was. I don't actually think. I don't think he was misused, because I do think he's good in that gadget role, but I think he can do a lot more than the gadget stuff. And I think that
Kinetic, he was misused. Let's cut the BS. He was misused.
I think he was used properly I think he was used properly trying to get him in the gadget stuff, but I think he to pigeonhole him as just a gadget guy was where he was misused. And I think
I agree.
To effectively have that gadget guy, you need more than one gadget guy.
I agree. Also, and just to before we get to number 4
now in Micah.
Yep. Just before we get to number 4 here, I agree that the misuse of Samaj was gross, and the misuse of Donovan Edwards was gross, and he proved that in the Senior Bowl. So I agree with that. Number 4, gentlemen, my number 4, Rayshawn Benny, number 4 top contributor for me this season. My guy Maniac, who's number 4 for you?
So my number 4 was actually Kinetic's number 5, which is Derek Moore. Now, anyone that's been watching Michigan closely, I could go past 21, but let's just start at 21. Michigan has been having elite edge rushers. You know, it went from Ojabo to Hutchinson. 22, we had my man Mike Morris. Man, he was killing it until he got injured. He was really never the same. We saw that in the TCU game. That lack of pass rush really killed us in that game. 23, of course, it was a mix. Jalen Harrell, Isaiah Stewart, Derek Moore. This past season, Derek Moore, Stewart, a little bit of TJ Guy. But I think this is Derek Moore's year. I think he can have Aiden Hutchinson kind of season, man. The guy is that talented. He's that good. And I expect him to be the best edge rusher in the Big Ten.
Yes, sir. Kinetic, you're next.
So my number 4 is I put him here at 4 because first year, but I do think Bryce Underwood's going to be very important. I put him at number 4 because I don't think he's going to be I think in the future he will be number 1, but freshman year I hope we don't ask him to be number 1. Shout out to Burks here. I'm also going to put in a little side note of Mikey Keene as a mentor to Bryce Underwood.
Jesus Christ.
Gotta get those Mikey Keene mentions.
hey, I told Burks I would just because he said something in the chat.
Hey, listen, I shoehorned in a fucking trading card game.
But listen, hold on. I actually do want to give props to Mikey Keene because he came here,
of course you do,
knowing that he was going to probably lose the job to Bryce, fully embracing the role of helping him get ready and becoming the starter and to mentor him.
Well,
I all respect him for that.
When you're not going to the NFL, that Michigan degree matters, man.
Absolutely, but he did show up day one saying that he's here to help him.
No, I know.
That's great, man. That's great. And by the way, I think Mikey Keene will be a big help.
Well, considering that you're running the table on playing in our CFB 25 league with all the targets of Michigan quarterbacks in the portal, I mean, you have a better gauge on it than anyone else.
Mikey Keene is an absolute stud in college football 25. TJ, who you got number 4?
My number 4 is Donovan McCulley. I think he's going to lead the team in touchdowns and yards this year.
You guys are sneaky.
TJ, do you think that his basically season off is going to hurt him at all?
I think it's going to help him.
Coming in and expecting him to be wide receiver 1 after a year of basically not playing.
I don't know if he's going to lead the team in receptions. I don't think he'll lead the team in receptions, but I do think yards and touchdowns he will be. I just think he's the only receiver of that type who's going to be able to take that role.
Yeah.
Yep,
I expect Underwood to rely on him a lot.
What about Amorian Walker?
I like
Walker. Are we out? We all out on him?
I still like Walker, but he's still potential.
Do you?
It sucks.
I like his. We like his potential as far as what we've seen on the field.
Nothing.
I mean, he didn't look bad in the Washington game. If we can get more of that.
One catch.
I'm talking about like his
ball, bro.
Yeah, but he watches route running. He was getting open. It's not his fault Jack Tuttle and Alex Orji didn't hit him.
Oh,
I mean, it's
now
true.
you know. Never mind. I'm not gonna go there with you.
Yeah, don't,
It's
man.
a long off season. All right. Darren, who's number 4 for you?
So I'm honestly just picking ones that I don't know if this is necessarily a great top 5 because I think there are guys who will be bigger contributors, but I'm just trying to find guys now that I did the Samaj Morgan thing that are a little bit different. How about Zeke Berry?
No, that's a good pick.
I
Now,
really
question:
liked
with Zeke
down
Berry,
the line.
are you projecting him to this as a safety, as a nickel, or as an outside corner?
Yes. I mean, I don't know where he's going to play or how much he's going to play with all the talent they have in the defensive backfield this next season. But from what we saw down the stretch last year, I'd take him anywhere. I mean, he played outside corner a bit and was fine. He was great in the nickel role. I mean, he had a couple interceptions, didn't he? I'm trying to think when he was in the
Big ones
nickel
against
role,
Indiana that would have.
He's a hard hitter as well, more so than I think people thought he was. Zeke Berry is and they're gonna need some help at outside corner, obviously, with Will Johnson leaving.
Honestly, I like him at outside corner more than the other spots, just because I think we have the other spots filled better.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how it's all going to play out there in terms of who plays where, obviously with Rod Moore coming back too. But I just really like Zeke. I like his ability to kind of slot in anywhere and be just fine and not be a worry.
No doubt. Really quick, be sure to hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Be sure to subscribe to Voice College Football Michigan or Wolverines. How do I say that? Wolverines Voice College Football Michigan
Voice College Football.
There we go.
I say it different every time I say
at Voice College Football. TJ Ronan right here. Be sure to follow him on Twitter. John Diadamo is in here somewhere. Be sure to follow him as well. Our guest of the hour, Darren Talks Ball, or Darren from Darren Talks Ball. Be sure to subscribe to that channel. Absolute great content. Be sure to follow him on Twitter as well. Okay.
Can I just add a caveat real quick too? We do talk like Big Ten at large. I actually have a USC video coming up on all their off-season moves. Just did a video on Dante Moore and everything he brings to Oregon and how I think he's a great fit.
I hope it's nothing.
So if you're not a fan of Michigan and you're in here, I got content on all the Big Ten teams too.
That's a fact. By the way, some talk about us getting Justin Spiro on. TJ, we're gonna need you back for that.
No way. You're gonna get him on here?
Way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You might do it.
Yeah. All right. Number three for me. I saw some guys talk about this in the chat. Rod Moore. I think Rod Moore going down last season in the preseason was a huge blow for Michigan. There's a lot of scrambling to try to fill those shoes. He's a bona fide leader on this team, whether it's offense or defense. Just an absolute leader and a dog, as you would say, and can make plays in that defensive backfield. We've seen him do it for years now. Last year or 2023, we saw him with the big interception against Ohio State to close that out. I think he comes in to kind of we got a very young defense, really, especially those guys coming off the bench, and I think he'll help with that for sure. Maybe help get a guy like Hitman Hillman a little more focused out there, not just on hitting people, but actually defending a space and just knowing the defense a little more. So Rod Moore, number 3 for me. Maniac, number 3.
Yeah, man. I mean that's a great one. His leadership was missed heavily this season in the secondary, especially early on. He's a head coach out there. I mean, he's an amazing athlete. A lot of IQ, man. This guy, he just breathes football, man. But the number 3, man. For me, I gotta go no other than Ernest Hausman, man. The middle linebacker, man. That's key. Once what helped Michigan a lot in those 3 years where we had a lot of success, man. The linebacker play was solid, and Ernest Hausman, I promise you this, man. As long as he can stay healthy, he will be the best linebacker in the Big Ten. His covering skills got better. Right, he could play sideline to sideline, and plus he'll put you through the field, man. The guy could hit. He just has it all. He's gonna go as the defense goes, and I expect him his second year as a starter at the middle. And oh man,
no doubt. By the way, Mar, definitely gonna have Johnny on if and when we do have Justin Spiro.
Hey,
So don't even worry.
I put it in the chat. Put Maniac in a ref shirt and let's go. Let's let him go a couple rounds.
All right.
Can I just interrupt real quick?
Please.
One, Maniac, I really do like that Ernest Hausman one because I feel like that one's going overlooked. Having both linebackers come back is huge. But I think Jason Barham, rightfully so, is getting a lot of attention. But Hausman coming back too, and just having a guy that's I don't know if you ever heard that guy in like interviews or anything, but he's super smart, witty, intelligent. Having a linebacker that's like that on the field, getting everybody lined up correct and everything is. I mean, he's not the best athlete on the team, but people really undervalue that. That's a great thing to have. No, that's a great one. I do have to unfortunately get going though, guys.
No problem.
Darren,
give us your final three.
Appreciate it. I'll go real quick. I wanted to mention Jordan Marshall. What he showed us in the bowl game was huge, and it showed the obvious reason why he committed to Michigan and not Ohio State. Benny, just because the need there, but also I think he can fill that need to a certain extent. And then Bryce Underwood.
Of course.
I'm a big Bryce Underwood guy. If you follow my channel, I think it's a massive pickup.
Yes, sir. Tell everybody where they can find you, man. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, I'm on YouTube, Darren Talks Ball. Of course, like I said, I'm a Michigan fan, so I do cover Michigan quite a bit. I probably do more videos on them than anybody, but we do also cover the Big Ten at large. Got rankings videos out. Got previews of all the Big Ten teams coming out, all the big ones, at least the important ones, Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, and all that. So be on the lookout for that. We largely cover the Big Ten as a whole, but largely Michigan as well, of course, as they're one of the biggest teams in the Big Ten. You can follow me over there. You can also follow me on X at Darren Talks Ball. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I got for you guys. Really appreciate you guys having me on and sharing my thoughts and opinions and everything. And yeah, this is fun. I'll have to have some of you guys on over at Darren Talks Ball sometime. Oh, we're live every Thursday at 7 too. Over there,
sir.
And I just want to say thank you to Darren, and just to promo him a little bit. From the day that I've made it public that I'm having the issue that I've had, Darren has taken the GoFundMe. He's promoted it on every show. He's put it in his show information on every show, whether I've been a part of the show or not. He has been supporting me from day one, guys. So any of our viewers that haven't checked out Darren's channel, please go do so. Support Darren on his channel, Darren Talks Ball. It's good content, and he's a good dude.
I appreciate that, man. That means a lot.
No doubt, man.
All right, see you guys.
I like Darren.
Darren Talks Ball. That was a great conversation, TJ.
It was good. It was good. And it was good, Ben. So it didn't get out of control.
It didn't. Nobody had to
continuing with the
or
list?
anything. We're definitely continuing with the list. Your number
Queen Jolene, though. He's very opinion about my position on that one.
We're definitely gonna have that out at some point. Bring me on when y'all do it, and then
we're gonna get her on the show for you, TJ. We're gonna get Prince Jolene here.
Queen Jolene on here.
So you guys are getting everybody, man.
So listen, I think Rod Moore is going to be incredibly important to the team, but since everybody's picking him, I did a little audible here. I'm going to pick somebody that I think is going to be a surprise contributor. Not surprised that he's contributing, but in the amount he contributes to the team. I think we're going to see a lot out of TJ Metcalf. I think he's going to come in and be an immediate contributor at a higher level than a lot of people are expecting him to.
Wow. Yeah, I like that pick. That's a sneaky good one. TJ, number 3.
Number 3 for me is Rayshon Benny. I think he's going to be, he's going to take that Mason Graham role, and he's going to be, listen, we need that anchor. We need that defensive presence to push the inside of the pocket. He's going to do that. He's ready. He showed that. He's ready. I mean, if he didn't have Mason Graham in front of him, he'd already be in the end. He'd already be in the draft.
Wasn't Benny, for the minutes he played, like one of the higher rated PFF grades on our D line?
I don't know.
I remember seeing somewhere that he was rated higher than Kenneth Grant. And Kenneth Grant was.
Yeah, he was. No, I think that's true. Which is crazy.
Yep. All right, we're down to number 2. The number 2 player that you think is going to contribute the most, drop it in the chat. My number 2 player that I think is going to contribute the most in 2025 is Evan Link. I think Evan Link is going to be absolutely huge for Michigan. Hear me out. I like what I saw from Evan Link in that Alabama game. He was moving. He was moving humans. I like it. I don't expect those two freshmen to, necessarily challenge for minutes.
Yeah, they won't begin.
Especially in the beginning, right? So I think, and by the way, if we're gonna be putting who my number one is on the field, Evan Link better be damn good. And so I think Evan Link, number 2 for me. Maniac, what you think?
Yeah, man. So my number 2, I think some of you already picked them already. It's gonna be Jordan Marshall, man. The heartbeat of the Michigan offense, along with the O-line, is the running back. Running back, running back, running back. If we didn't have Khalil Mullins this year, we probably win 4 games this year. Let's be honest. If we look at the other past 3 years, we had, Corum, we had my man Hassan Haskins. I mean, Michigan is the running back. And Jordan Marshall, he embodies that Michigan running back style. He gives me Blake Corum with like Mike Hart mixed together if they had a kid. Now, I expect Jordan Marshall to probably work on that speed a little bit more this offseason, but I think the guy is gonna be an absolute stud at Michigan. And especially with the quarterback situation, we don't know. I think we're gonna lean on the running game heavy early on. So yes, I know we got Justin Hayes. He's also an animal, but I think Jordan Marshall is our guy, and I think he's gonna be my number 2 contributor this season.
No doubt. Kinetic, you are next.
So my number 2, I think you're going to see him put in all over the field. I don't know if he's going to be a starter, but I think he's going to be one of those guys that's just everywhere on the field making plays. It's going to be our guy Brandon Hitman Hillman. I think you're going to see him in coverage. I think you're going to see him in run support. I think you're going to see him rushing the passer. He's going to be everywhere. I think you're going to see him sometimes in the slot. You're going to see him at safety, at corner. You'll see him at linebacker. I think he's going to be played all over the field in Wink's system.
No doubt. TJ, number 2.
Yep, my number 2 is Justice Haynes. I think he's going to lead the team in attempts, carries, and touchdowns.
Okay.
Yards, attempts, yards, and touchdowns. Yep.
All right. I can see that. That makes some sense. I definitely think he's more explosive than Jordan Marshall at this stage. And it might be good for Jordan Marshall to, be able to have another kind of, not mentor per se, but just somebody else to watch in that backfield.
Marshall will get run. He'll get run, but I think they're going to lean on Hayes a lot more. I think it'll be like 70-30 or 60-40, something along those lines.
Right.
I just think that's the way they'll go with it.
Number 1, we are down to number 1. I think everybody can probably guess what a lot of everyone's number 1 is going to be, but for me, Bryce Underwood. If Michigan is going to be any good this season, right? And by any good, I mean because the schedule suggests that they should have a decent record, right? We're not gonna go crazy there, but if they are going to challenge for a playoff spot, if they're going to be competitive in the playoffs, Bryce Underwood is going to have to be as good as advertised. And I know that's a lot of pressure year 1, but he is the $12 million man. I got to give it to Bryce Underwood, number 1. No question about it. Maniac, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so it's a mix. I think that people could say what they want. I get it. It's both Mikey Keene / Bryce Underwood. I think it's going to be a quarterback by committee early on. By the end of the season, yes, I believe Bryce Underwood is going to be the starter for Michigan full time. But I think early on, we're going to see a Cade and JJ thing like we saw in 21. I just think is only right. Mikey Keene has the experience. People could say what they want about him. I'm not calling him a great quarterback. I think he's perfect for Michigan. And just like Kinetic mentioned earlier, him coming to Michigan, knowing Bryce was there already gives you, he has a selfish mentality. I get it. I know my man, West Quad, they just want Bryce Underwood to just jump in the car. Everybody, I get it. But to me, we got to look at it. Listen, man, let's not put Bryce in a bad situation, because then everybody's going to come here. Oh, why we put Bryce in so early? I don't care if we pay 12 minutes. I see it already. I see it. Put Mikey King, have him by committee. We could do rep for rep. We could do quarter for quarter, half for half, however Michigan does it. But just make sure you do it the right way so that once Bryce Underwood becomes the full-time starter, he's going to cook. So it's Mikey King / Bryce Underwood are going to be my number one contributors to the 2024 season.
And I just want to throw something out there to what Maniac was just saying. Guys, I know we all want Bryce to start. I do want Bryce to start. There seems to be this thing where people think I'm against Bryce because I think Mikey King should start. How many games did it take our offensive line to I've had people say it.
Oh, yeah.
How many games this past year did it take for our offensive line to start working as a unit on the same page? It took about 5 or 6 games. Let's assume it takes more. 3 or 4 next season. I don't want to put Bryce behind an offensive line that isn't on the same page yet. I don't want to give a shout out to TJ for what he said on his show last week. I don't want to David Carr Bryce Underwood by putting him out there behind an offensive line that's not ready to protect him. The speed of the game is a thing. As good as Bryce is, he did not play a single team in his high school career that is as good or as fast as the worst FBS team. Okay, the speed of the game, being able to react in a way to protect yourself, is something that Mikey Keene is conditioned to react to that. Bryce is going to be seeing that speed for the first time. I don't want him to see it behind an offensive line that's not on the same page.
No doubt. And I guess Moose is one of those people you heard it from. What the hell? Look, let me ask you guys this. Maniac, Kinetic, TJ, if they went out and just did quarterback drill, if it was a passing contest for the starting quarterback job, does Mikey King stand a chance with Bryce?
Physically, no. Physically,
no. Yeah. But that's all. We know that, right? I don't think none of us debate that, right? It's more of just like Kinetic, reading defenses, right? Reacting to speed. King's been there, done that. Now, again, Bryce Underwood might be him. Week 1, he's just like, damn, bro, how this guy, just caught on so quick. That's a possibility. I'm not saying, but I think us fans, we're rushing it too much. Like, guys, calm down. We got a weak-ass schedule. Ain't no need to rush, bro. There's no need to rush. We let Mikey King eat, and Bryce, I'm telling you, do it by committee, and eventually they're going to figure it out. And the good thing, why I feel comfortable about the 2 quarterback committee is because we have a real OC that's going to be doing his thing. He's going to know how to use these players. And trust me, he's going to go to Sharon and say, look, Sharon, he's ready, man. Bryce is ready.
Here's the thing. People are severely underestimating the mental reps to be able to react at the speed of the game, at the speed of the defense. Like, you can have all the physical tools in the world. If your brain is not had the mental reps in game situations to react at the same speed as the guys that are trying to hit you, it can affect even down to your ability to protect yourself. Mikey Keene has 4 years of playing in the college at that speed of football. So even it can be something as minor as the way that he moves his body when getting hit that he's more prepared for than Bryce will be week 1, week 2. And that's what I'm talking about. Bryce Underwood blows Mikey Keene out of the water on every physical standard as at the quarterback position. But there are mental aspects of it that you can only get through experience. And what I've been trying to say is week 2 and week 4 of your true freshman season on the road in a hostile Power 4 conference stadium is not the place to get those initial reps. That's all I'm saying. Anyways,
now give us your number 1.
My number 1, and this is cheating a little bit. But I disagree with TJ a little bit on the Justice Haynes Jordan Marshall thing. I think it's going to be a two-headed monster. I think it's 1A, 1B, and I can't separate them. They are number one. They are going to be a combined just monster factor for our team. And it doesn't matter to me which one is 1A which one's 1B. I believe Justice Haynes will probably get the start for day one. He'll be the first on the first down, but I think it's going to be as close to 50-50 as you're going to see from any college team in the country with two running backs.
So I think that's a cute fairy tale. But how was the Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards split? How was the Donovan Edwards, Khalil Mullen split? Like it just never happens that way.
But
ever.
I think that Jordan Marshall and Justice Haynes are both closer to that Blake Corum, that workhorse style running back where Donovan never was.
Yeah, so I think TJ.
I don't disagree with that.
I gotta. The thing is, you're right. I get it. Tony Alford, he gotta do a better job in rotating these guys. I think when you look at Justin Hayes and Jordan Marshall, right, from what we've seen from both of them and what we saw last year from Mullins and Edwards, you got to go Haynes and Marshall. Just because for some reason Donovan just wasn't him. Mullins was him. But I think it's going to be closer to 1A, 1B. It's true. I think Haynes will get the initial start. But I think by the Oklahoma game, expect them both to get at least 12, 15 carries each that game.
Look at the way they forced Donovan Edwards over Khalil Mullins when it was quite clear Khalil Mullins should have been the guy. Like, I just don't have faith that it's going to be how you want it to be kinetic.
Well,
I do think Justice Haynes is going to outproduce.
I mean, they combined for a little over 1,500 yards total. And I think that there's some lessons that'll be learned from this past season. And like I said, I think that the thing with Donovan, I think, is a little bit of an outlier because I think we all, without knowing factually, we're all pretty certain that there were promises made, and that's why you saw a lot of what you saw this last season. I don't think that's going to be a factor this season. But like I said, I think you've got two running backs who are close enough to that Blake Corum workhorse style of back that you can literally interchange them to keep them both fresh the entire game. And from what I've heard, I mean, that's a dream for both of them to be able to do that. To play with another back that can do that. It's And as I've said on the podcast multiple times before, I'm not just saying this because Kyoki's in the chat. I think you're going to see Micah get used quite a bit as a change of pace as well. Gadget screen back.
Are you?
Yeah, no, and if not, we mentioned it
because I've said this in so many offline conversations as well.
I'm messing with you, man.
Yeah, and or have him return, man. He has that speed. But you know, too, TJ, what's also good about the Marshall and Haynes is that, you know, the old saying, iron sharpens iron, right? These guys are going to push each other in practice, man, and it's going to only elevate their game because these guys, they have very similar styles, right? The only thing is Hayes got more experience, man. We saw that was a true Jordan Marshall was a true freshman. He wasn't a red shirt. He was true. He was just in his prime not too long ago, and then he running for over 100 yards against Alabama in the rain and breaking. Listen. It's going to get ugly for the Big Ten next season. I promise you that. They better be ready. Because that defense, you saw Philly? You saw Philly yesterday? That's going to be Michigan D-line next season.
Work.
Yeah.
What was that, TJ?
Kyoki, tell Micah to go to Sharon Moore and say, I want this shit.
I told her. And I said that, man. We spoke about that. I said, yo, have him return kicks. Because, he's talented.
JB Brown's a special teams coordinator, but whatever. Go to JB Brown and be like, look, I want this shit.
Listen, we pressing coaches in the spring game. Be ready. You're going to see
like I said before. I know it ain't that simple. So the reason I think Mike is going to get play and should get play is because when I first brought this up to TJ, the whole Jordan Marshall, Justice Haynes being like a Sonic and Knuckles thing, the first thing he said is neither one's a burner. Well, I look at the running back room, and I look at the skill set that Marshall and Haynes have, and I look at what they don't have. And everyone's just penciling in Benjamin Hall as the running back 3, but I don't see it because I don't see anything Benjamin Hall does that's better than better at than Haynes or Marshall. But I look at Micah Kapana, and he has some skills that are very different from Jordan Marshall and Justice Haynes, and can be that change of pace in the offense that to provide a skill set that they don't provide.
On some real shit, when you look at Chip Lindsey's offense and the way he likes to use the screen game, dude, you put Mike in that,
right?
Yes, and that's what I'm talking about, and that's what I meant earlier when I brought up that to effectively run those gadget plays, you got to have more than one guy you go to for it. Because if they see Samaj in there, they're last year they like, okay, he's their gadget guy, so they're going to be watching for that stuff. But if we got Samaj and Micah out there and we run some gadget thing, we got 2 guys we can go to for that stuff now.
Yeah, but like, could be honest too, Samaj isn't on Micah's level.
No, but I'm saying having more than one guy that can fill that role makes it less predictable for the defense.
Yeah, right. We'll see how it goes.
TJ, your number 1 contributor in 2025, sir.
Davis Warren.
My number 1 contributor for 2025 is Queen Jolene, because she brought you Bryce Underwood, and she's about to get you a top 5 2026 class.
Coming back on right now.
No, I got Bryce Underwood as my number 1, but Queen Jolene, shout out to the Queen.
Bryce Underwood.
Stupid. Use your common sense. Don't.
Fuck you mad at me for, bro?
No, I'm not. I'm not. I thought that was going to play something different, actually.
Hey, so we gave Hillman the Hitman nickname. Can we officially declare Haynes and Jordan Marshall as Marshall Justice?
No.
Why not?
I don't like it.
Yeah. It doesn't get a ring. It doesn't have a ring. I mean, it's not horrible, but if we we make names here, it's going home.
I like it.
First of all, we need to see them do something. Let's
You know what? Let's wait till the spring game, Kinetic, and then we'll have a better feel on.
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, at the spring game, all the people on this screen will be there. And Johnny Odin
and
Jr.
some of the people that are in the chat,
and some of the people in the chat. I'm getting to the point. We will press the coaches for Micah if we need to. If we need signs, if we need muscle, by the way, sign up for your role in the chat. We can wear T-shirts that say "Play Micah," whatever we need to do. Let's get Micah on the field.
Hey, Kioki, how do you feel about us doing this? Getting some T-shirts up and wear them to the game to play Micah?
Absolutely.
Put Micah in the game. Put that on the T-shirt.
Shout out my guy Antoine.
Bro.
Yeah, man.
I'd hate
Listen, TJ, we got one more topic, man. We're gonna get out of here. All right.
All right, bro.
All right. Topic is looking at Michigan's schedule. All right, let's pull that up. I think I have it. I'm pretty sure I do. Maybe I don't.
Well, while he's pulling it up, TJ, have you heard anything on that location for the post-spring game?
No, we got to know the date first. Once we know the date, we can figure
out.
Right,
man. Like, what are they waiting on?
Gotcha.
What are they waiting on? By the way, shout out to Mello. We are not saying this, but he just reached two months as a member. Shout out to my guy Mello. All right, so let's get this thing up on the screen here. All right, you guys see that?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is Michigan's schedule. All right. On this schedule, what we want is the biggest blowout you think will happen. What is going to be Michigan's toughest game? And last but not least, what was the third one I gave you guys?
Toughest, biggest blowout, and trap game.
Trap game. Thank you. Let's talk about it.
I'm about to change my blowout one though. Now that I'm looking at the schedule better.
Yeah,
looking at the timeline.
Schedule there. All right. So Michigan starts the season off with the New Mexico Lobos. Then they travel to Norman to take on the Sooners. back home for Central Michigan. By the way, no back-to-back home games this year, guys. How you feel about that?
Yeah,
Or back-to-back
when was the last
Well,
time that's ever happened to Michigan or any school?
That's
Like
crazy.
how we allowed that? How did they allow Michigan not to have any back-to-back home games?
Well, look,
That's crazy.
Michigan isn't willing to do a Friday night game, so they're not going to get schedule benefits like they used to.
Yeah. They refuse to do
Michigan
Friday night
will
games.
not do a Friday night game, and because of that, it kind of ticks the networks off a little bit.
No,
that's
doubt.
crazy,
in the big
bro. That's not good for.
Because Michigan shouldn't do Friday night games.
But even Ohio State's done Friday night though. Ohio State did a Friday night game once last year.
Yeah, but Ohio State is not Michigan, so
true story. No disagreement.
As much as they want to be.
We agree.
Right. All right. So guys, biggest blowout on the schedule. What say you?
Who's going first?
I'll go. Listen, man. It gotta be New Mexico, man. That has to be that game. It's either that or who's that? Central Michigan,
right? Purdue is on the schedule though, so Purdue could see it.
No, I think Purdue. Wait, I think Purdue is gonna be better than what they were last year. Not that much better, but just better. At least maybe a 4-win, maybe a 5-win team. I don't think they're gonna be as bad. But it's either I'll go New Mexico. No, you know what? Because they might want to try things out against New Mexico. But I think by the third game, Central Michigan, they'll come off the game, at Oklahoma. I fully expect Michigan to win a 56-6 kind of game against Central Michigan.
No doubt.
So here's the thing for me. Initially, I was going to go with CMU, and that is kind of my hometown team where I grew up. That's like the closest school.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like 20 minutes from there. But when I factor in what I've been saying that I think they're going to do with Bryce and Mikey Keene, and I think that I think it cannot be New Mexico, because I think that's got to be the game to get the offense on the same page before Oklahoma, and it always takes us a week or two minimum to get our offense playing all on the same page. So I don't think it's New Mexico. CMU, in my opinion, that's where you see the first really heavy rotation of Mikey and Bryce. And because of the back and forth, and because it's still early in the season, I don't think it's going to be as big of a blowout as what it would be let's say if this was in 2026. So I'm going to go with Purdue because I'm looking at the schedule. We play Purdue at home. The week after we play at Michigan State, where we're going to pick up a big win. Everybody's going to be jazzed up from it. We're going to come home and play somebody like Purdue right before the bye week. I think everyone's going to be so jazzed up from the Michigan State win. I think they're going to play hard because they know they got a week off the next week for the bye week. I think it's going to be Purdue is going to be the biggest blowout of the season.
All right.
And I think by that point, Bryce is going to be rocking with the offense.
So I think the biggest blowout is going to be Michigan State. And the reason why I think it's going to be Michigan State is because Bryce Underwood, to Kinect's point, is going to be full steam ahead. Offense is rolling. The team's got it down. Defense, you know how Wink gets towards the end of the year. He starts locking it down. And not only that, Michigan hates those dudes. And after what happened this past year, and the shit continues, I think Michigan's going to come for blood for that game. I think we're going to destroy them.
Yeah, I think so. The logical choice is obviously New Mexico, but I like TJ where TJ's going with Michigan State, and I like Purdue. I'm going to pick Purdue. I think they're not very good. It's a bad football team, and they got to come to the big house the week after the beat down of poor little bro them. I think Purdue gets it pretty bad. Pause. Let's move on. Who's going to be the toughest opponent on Michigan's schedule next season?
Quick question. Are we because every year our toughest opponent is Ohio State. So are we saying aside from Ohio State?
No. You just ruined the segment.
All right. I mean,
what a
come
dick,
on, bro.
Dude.
That's
right,
we're not excluding.
I mean, I think
I ruined it.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm
How do
gonna
I do it,
go.
Maze?
I don't think they're going to be the toughest opponent, honestly.
I
All right,
do.
so we have
I do. I think it's not. It's just you got to remember in sports, it's not about whatever the record is going to be. It's what the rivalry is, what it embodies. Right. It doesn't matter. We were a prime example of that this season. Michigan 6-5 going into the shoe 3-point. Nobody giving us a chance. We saw the outcome of that. So we were their toughest game. They could say Oregon, but it was Michigan, right? So it got to be Ohio State, man. And the reason I'm picking them over Oklahoma is because Oklahoma, although that shit ain't, I'm gonna pick us to lose the Oklahoma game, but
Wouldn't that make it the toughest?
no, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because what's gonna be on the line come November 29th? That's going to make it tough. It's going to be so much. That's a non-conference game. If there's a game Michigan can afford to lose, is the Oklahoma game because it does not affect them in the Big Ten. That Ohio State game might come down to who goes into the playoffs. They might both be 9-2 going into that game. Loser goes home. Loser goes to the Big Ten championship. So it has to be Ohio State.
Okay. Kinetic.
I think it is Ohio State in the sense that all the stats, all the stuff on paper goes out the window every year with this game. It doesn't matter who's got the better team, who's hotter at the time. It doesn't matter, all that stuff goes out the window seemingly every year, and it just comes down to the rivalry game and who's tougher. But it's always a tough game, no matter what. So it has to be Ohio State, but outside of that, man, I would say it's going to be Oklahoma just because of the challenge that they provide when they provide it on the schedule with us.
So who are you picking?
Looking at the two quarterbacks. If Ohio State's an option, it has to be Ohio State.
Okay, all right.
They are option.
Yeah. TJ.
Ohio State. They're just the best team, the most talented team that we're going to go against. They're going to give us the toughest challenge, I think.
Okay. I disagree with everyone. I think it's going to be Oklahoma, mostly because I think as of today, we're going to lose that Oklahoma game, just like Maniac thinks. It's week 2. We travel to Norman. And by the way, I have the option to change my mind down the road, but right now,
actually, you don't. It's settled.
It's settled.
February 10th. Maze Madman. He said it. Y'all heard it. Hold him to it.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma. I think that's going to be a tough environment, and depending on who the quarterback is, what if, let's say they start Bryce week 1, and he kills it against New Mexico? Do you sit him week 2?
No.
Exactly. Which leads me to the next point. You play Bryce Underwood week 2, his first true home game in a very hostile environment. And Michigan, and he's not necessarily ready for that. This is just hypothetical. I think it can get Shabba ranks for Michigan in that situation. But I hope I'm wrong. But that's how I feel about it. I think Michigan owns Ryan Day. Ryan Day is still in the locker that we stuffed him in. We put him in a body bag, and then we body splashed on that body bag the second year. Then we kicked them down the hill year 3, and then we picked them up and stuffed them in a locker this year. So I just think mentally that's where he is, in a body bag that's been body splashed, kicked down the hill, and stuffed in a locker.
I like it.
That's just my take on his mental space right now, because again, their run through the playoffs showed the type of dominance that they could have had all season. They lost by 1 point on a brain fart against Oregon, and then they scored 10 points at home against Michigan. I'm going to give Michigan credit there for sure, but I'm also placing some of that blame right at the feet of Ryan Day. in terms of them scoring 10 points.
Remember, man, it's not what Michigan did. You guys didn't beat us.
Right.
Our coaches called a bad game.
Of course not.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's never because they get beat by a better team.
No, never. No one's beaten. For the record, everyone in the chat, no one has never beat Ohio State. You can't beat them. They only beat themselves. So just let's be clear about that.
That's a Snapple top fact. All right, guys, last one. Trap game. Trap game. Maniac. Where you see that trap game at?
So, man, listen, I gotta go at Nebraska. And the reason I'm going with that game is that, first of all, Matt Rule's punk ass, he has a lot to say about Michigan, right?
How did they know what offensive play they were running?
Riola's in his second season. I think the dude is a stud. He's the generic version of Mahomes, but he's still good, right? I think Nebraska's going to be a solid team. I truly expect that game to be a night game at Lincoln. And it's going to be a rough game. And I think, I'm going to pick Michigan to win that game, but that is a trap game. That's a game I could see Michigan losing, if they don't come ready.
No doubt. Keegan agrees with you. He thinks Nebraska is the trap game. Shout out to Cut from a Different Cloth. He says, Triple M, you're my dog. You're wrong. They've got 8 months to get Underwood to start the New Mexico game in order to play and start Oklahoma. They ain't going with Mikey Keene for that Oklahoma game. I'm not suggesting that they do. In my scenario, Bryce starts week 1, kills it, then goes to Norman. Much different than playing New Mexico at home. Kinetic trap game.
So in my opinion, a trap game, I don't think Nebraska can be a trap game because Nebraska is a game that everyone is looking at like, hey, we could lose that game. I feel like a trap game is a game that on paper looks like an easy win that can sneak up and surprise us and bite us. Right. And I think it's going to be Maryland. I think we're looking at Maryland on the road. We're looking at that's the only time we do have back-to-back road games if you consider the one at Wrigley Field a road game, that or a away game since it's a neutral site. But Maryland comes right after we play Purdue, bye week, Northwestern on the road, and then the week before Ohio State. Maryland, for whatever reason, always plays us way closer than what you would think they do. They did last year or 2 years ago. They did the year before that. It's insane. So,
technically, a trap game. I mean, if we're favored, right, wouldn't it still be a trap game?
Yeah. I get what you're saying, Kinetic, but it's still not 100% that. See, now if I say Oklahoma, that ain't no trap game because we know that's a game they might not.
Personally, I view Nebraska as basically the same thing as the Oklahoma game.
No.
What?
I think Nebraska is a better team than Oklahoma right now.
No.
And I think that I think that they are that their stadium is every bit, if not harder, to play in than normal.
I agree with that. They have a good atmosphere.
I would take their quarterback over Oklahoma's.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah, I would take second year Dylan Raiola over John Mateer at Oklahoma.
So you telling me
it's a gutted Oklahoma team.
The odds going into the Oklahoma-Nebraska game, what are going to be the odds? Michigan's going to have way smaller odds of beating Oklahoma than going. I guarantee they'll be favored against Nebraska. Not against Oklahoma. Oklahoma might be a pick'em.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going off based on what I've seen from Nebraska and from Oklahoma. I think that Nebraska is going to be every bit as tough, and I look at that as maybe a half step lower than Oklahoma as far as like being a tough game. So I think we win. I just don't think it's going to be an easy game. I look at it and I look at Oklahoma, I look at Nebraska, and outside of Ohio State, those are the two most easily losable games on our schedule. So
no doubt. TJ, what is your trap game, sir?
Nebraska.
Okay.
So the reason why is it's right before the bye. And I think the kids could be looking at that bye and, not taking that game as serious as they should. Even though, look, it's a road game. They're going to come off a tough game against Oklahoma. But listen, Central Michigan, they should walk them.
Mm-hmm.
One more game before the bye. Now that game just seems like one that could bite us. Because to Kinnetic's point, I do think Nebraska has an ability to win that game, and it is on the road. It is a tough environment. And I just feel like that's a trap. I honestly think the Maryland game is the easy answer. So I wanted to go a little different there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going with the Nebraska game.
Yeah. I think the Maryland game is who I was leaning towards as the trap game this season, too, because it is right before we play the other state. We saw what happened a couple years ago, when they were sandwiched between Penn State and the other state. It really was closer than I think a lot of people were expecting. I think we only won by 7 points, right? 31-24, something like that. And it was a late game interception by Mikey Sanders, I believe, that kind of sealed that.
No, we ran it out. No. Yeah, well, we killed. I was at that game. We killed the clock, but Mikey had two. He was an animal. We was cooking them. It was like 20-something 3 early. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be an easy one. And then our offense, man, a lot of that had to do with JJ being injured, but we not. Then we become Ohio State and we use those excuses. Right. They just
but later in the season, we're going to have more guys banged up as well going into that game too than we will early on.
Then we bring Mikey. Then we bring Mikey Keenan. But this is why
to save the day, right?
Mikey Keenan.
Let me ask this question right here: If you had to choose one coach to coach your offense against Wink Martindale, are you taking Rule or are you taking Loxley? Because I'm going with Loxley.
Yeah, but Rule has an elite quarterback.
I'm going with Rule, yeah.
Yeah, that's quarterback is everything. And the thing with Riola is that not only he can make plays with his arm, he can make plays with his feet. So this is why it's important that D line that we have to get busy early so we could keep a spy on Riola if we have to. But if we getting after him, if the D line is gonna play the way I'm expecting it to be, they gonna cook a lot of quarterbacks, man. But it's college football; anything could happen, man.
I think we win both games. I just think
I was going to pick USC, but I felt like that wasn't a trap game necessarily.
The only thing that makes USC a trap game is that it's at USC.
Yeah,
like there's literally nothing else about that game that makes it a potential trap game.
Let me ask you guys this. Do you think Lincoln Riley is playing for his job this season?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what is it that he will have to achieve in your eyes for him to keep that coaching job at USC?
I think he needs to learn how to run the ball, and he needs to light a fire under D'Anton.
So 9-3, 10-2. Like, what's his record has to be?
I think he's got to win 8 games.
I think 9-3. I think honestly 8-5 will save him as long as the team looks promising and the defense looks better.
Right.
But I got to look at his contract though. They might not have a choice right now.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair.
Like Florida State's right now too. Like they're stuck with Norvell.
That's crazy. They are stuck with Norvell.
They got no hope.
They're wishing they would have made the other choice right now.
Hey, Maniac, you're gonna like this, bro. So we just added a new guy to our Florida State channel. He's the nephew of Larry Holmes. His name's Ryan Holmes.
Oh yeah,
Boxer. Yeah. Larry Holmes.
Yep, boxer. Yep, fought Muhammad Ali.
Hall of Fame, baby.
Need you to set him up for an interview with Maniac on his boxing channel.
Yeah,
he's really into that shit. So I don't. Maybe we'll figure something out.
Yeah. Let me know.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to that time in the show where we must bid you adieu. This was a good one. This was a fun 2 hours. Had some technical difficulties early on. TJ came through to duke it out with Darren. That was a fun back and forth. Let's do this.
Wait for
TJ.
round 2, hosted by Queen Jolene.
That'll be epic. TJ, tell the people where they can find you, what you got going on.
Yep. You can find me at TJ_Ronan on the socials. I'm on the show Michigan Wolverines Live with John Diadmo at Michigan at the Voice of College Football. I have a call-in show Thursday, 8 p.m. I do that. That's the show for the people. And then Tuesday, we do the damn thing with John. Listen, if you're a Michigan fan and you want to be part of a dope-ass community, hop over there, subscribe, become a member. We got very fun membership-only shows. We have we have one show a month that's a membership-only hangout. And then we also have Avengers Assemble show, which is the first Monday of every month. So be a part of that. And and then just keep building with the rest of you guys. And like Maize Madman said, spring game, we'll be there.
Yes, sir. We're gonna be there in force, by the way, too. Let me get out of there. I don't know what I just did. I just dropped him.
Drop TJ down.
There we go. All right, cool. You said what?
I do that too. Like I'll switch the layout.
Yeah.
Can't bring everybody else.
What happened to Maniac?
I'm here.
Madman, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
You've played with Keene. You've played with Edwards. Did we make the right choice?
If I'm judging by the video game, by the way, I'm having a better season with Edwards, I think, in terms of my team success.
He is on the cover.
No. So in one of the leagues that we
Billy
play in, TJ, he started as Fresno State and had Mikey Keene for the first season, and then took the Maryland job after that and kept Billy Edwards. So in season 2, he's playing with Billy Edwards, and I just think it's funny. So
I will say this: as a individual player, I thought Mikey Keene he was better, but I'm having better team success with Maryland.
So that league you guys are in, you guys are progressing your careers as coaches. Oh, that's fucking fire, bro.
Yeah, in that one I started at ECU and now I'm at Florida State.
Right. I'm playing both on Xbox and PS5.
Wait a minute. So you're at Florida State and he's at Maryland. What's going on with your life decisions, Maize?
Well, no, because he had a better season with this G5 team, right? I think he might have made the playoffs. I missed the playoffs.
I didn't make the playoffs, but I think I went undefeated until the I think I went undefeated. I just didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, and see, I lost the game, didn't make my championship game, so my options were different, right? Anyway, yeah, I know, right?
Get that DMV area, man. You'll get it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm locking it. But I'm out recruiting him right now. By the way,
are you?
I'm out recruiting.
I haven't even checked it.
Yeah. Top 7 class.
It's your NIL up, Kinetic.
Yeah. Anyway,
DJU messed us up, man.
Maniac, tell the people where they can find you, sir. What you got going on?
Yeah, man, you see it right there. Go Blue Maniac. That's just that's my Michigan Instagram. Make sure you go there. There to talk football now.
Yes, sir.
And YouTube channel is there too. So go do your thing.
There we go. Kinetic, tell the people where they can find you.
Aside from finding me here on the Maize Madman channel and as a frequent guest over on TJ's Thursday night show, you can find me on pretty much every platform under the name Kinetic615. Any platform you're on, whether it's gaming or social media, whatever. If you want to know if I'm on there, look up Kinetic615, and if it shows up, that's me.
Yes, sir. Follow me everywhere at Maize Madman. Until next time, stay angry, my friends.
I'm the best there is. Woo!